In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the various properties of the laser light. But before that, we are going to see the expression of rate of absorption and rate of emission. So these two expressions we have already seen in the previous lecture. Now in the case of rate of absorption, so what is the rate of absorption? That we have already seen that this rate of absorption in a two-level oscillator is equal to B12 into N1, where N1 are the number of atoms in the lower level in unit volume, times U of omega, which is the energy density of the radiation at frequency omega, and N1 are the number of atoms in the lower level per unit volume, and B12 is the transition probability for absorption. So this was the rate of absorption that we did. Now is the rate of emission. In the case of rate of emission, both the transitions will be written. First is the spontaneous emission and another is the stimulated emission. So these two are the emission processes, and rate of emission will be the summation of the two rates. So the spontaneous emission rate is equal to A21 into N2 plus B21 into N2 into U of omega. Now this is the rate of stimulated emission and this is the rate of spontaneous emission. So the summation of both will give us the total rate of emission inside the gain medium. Now this rate of emission, firstly this is in the case of a two-level oscillator where N2 are the number of atoms in unit volume in the excited state and N1 are the number of atoms in unit volume in the lower state. So rate of emission means the atoms in the excited level, they go to the ground state, means number of atoms in the excited level are decreasing with time. So rate of emission means the number of atoms per unit volume, they are decreasing with time. So the rate at which the number of atoms will decrease will give us the rate of emission. So rate of emission will be nothing but equal to dN2 by dt, means the rate at which the number of atoms in the excited level are decreasing. And since over here we are talking about the decrease, means the rate, the number of atoms in the excited level are decreasing, therefore we will have over here negative sign. And in the first case we have rate of absorption. So in the case of rate of absorption, we have some atoms in the lower level, and absorption means the atoms in the lower level, they go to the excited state by absorbing a photon. So atoms in the lower level will decrease in the process of absorption, or you can say the atoms in the excited level will increase in the case of absorption. So in the case of absorption, the atoms in the excited level are increasing. So we will write the rate of absorption as dN2 by dt. And here we will be having a positive sign because number of atoms in the excited level, they increase in the case of absorption, whereas they decrease in the case of emission process. Therefore we had over here a negative sign. So this is how we write the rate of absorption and rate of emission. We are going to discuss the characteristics of laser beam. So we have already discussed about the properties of laser light in the first lecture. So there we had just a brief introduction. Now the first characteristic of the laser light is that it is highly directional. Highly directional means that the light from a laser goes in a particular direction, almost in a particular single direction. Now unlike the ordinary sources of light like the incandescent bulb or LED bulb or any ordinary source of light, the laser light is completely different. So the light from a incandescent bulb goes in all the directions. But in the case of laser, the light goes in a particular direction, so we call that it has high directionality. The second property of the laser light is that it has high intensity. Now, due to the high directionality property of the laser light has high intensity. It has very high intensity as compared to the ordinary source. So in the case of ordinary sources of light, the photons are emitted in all the directions. So the intensity at a particular point in space decreases. So intensity at a particular point in space due to an ordinary source of light is very less as compared to laser, because in the case of laser the light goes in almost one single direction. Therefore the light from a laser is highly concentrated. Energy is concentrated at a single point. So we call that laser light has high intensity. Then the third property of the laser light is that it has high degree of monochromaticity. By monochromaticity, we mean that single wavelength. And the laser light has high degree of monochromaticity, and we will discuss this property in just few minutes. And the last property of the laser is that it has high degree of coherence. So none of these properties are satisfied by the ordinary source of light. So only the laser light satisfies all these properties. So the first property is that high directionality. The light from a laser has high directionality, or you can say it has very less divergence. By divergence means that there is a spread, but in the case of laser there is very less divergence, means the light or the photons, they spread very little, they go in a single direction. So the conventional light sources emit light in all the directions, or you can say light spreads out considerably. By a very large amount the light spreads out. Now beam divergence for ordinary light sources, the divergence, or you can say the spreading for the case of ordinary light sources is very large. But in the case of laser, the beam is almost along a particular direction. The photons from a laser, they are emitted almost in a single direction with very little divergence. So divergence in the case of a laser light is very less as compared to the light which is emitted by conventional light sources or the ordinary light sources. Now the directionality of a laser beam. How do we define the directionality? How do we measure, or you can say how do we express it? So directionality of a laser beam is usually expressed in terms of full angle beam divergence. So there must be a particular quantity by which we must measure the directionality. So the directionality of a laser light is measured in terms of full angle beam divergence. Now this full angle beam divergence, so over here I have shown a diagram of the light which is emitted from a laser. So let's say this angle is equal to delta theta. Now we will see what is this delta theta. We will define this delta theta. So in the case of laser, the light first it goes almost in a single direction. The light rays which are emitted by laser, they are parallel to each other. So there is almost a zero divergence. But after some length, the divergence, it starts appearing. So due to the unavoidable effects of the diffraction, the beam starts diverging. So here we measure this delta theta angle. Now what is this delta theta angle? So this delta theta angle is the divergence angle. Now what is this divergence angle? So this angle, the angle that outer edge of the beam makes with the axis of the beam. So this is the axis of the beam which I have shown with the black dotted line. So this is the axis of the beam. So this divergence angle delta theta, this is the angle which outer edge. Now what is this outer edge? We will see. So delta theta is the angle that outer edge of the beam makes with the central axis, or you can say the axis of the beam. Now what is this outer edge? Now the light from a laser, it diverges. So it has zero divergence for some particular length, and this length is equal to d square by lambda. So up to d square by lambda, the laser light has zero divergence. The light ray, they go parallel to each other. But after this much distance, due to the unavoidable effects of diffraction, the laser light starts spreading. So there is a divergence. Now the light that gets diverged, so this light which is diverging, it will not make a sharp edge. So we cannot define a sharp edge of the laser light. So we define this outer edge in a beam. So outer edge of the beam is defined as a point at which the strength of the beam has dropped to 1 by E of its value at the center. So we cannot have a sharp edge, we cannot measure where is the sharp edge of the laser beam. So we define this quantity outer edge of the beam. Now outer edge of the beam is defined as a point at which the strength of the beam, so the strength of the beam will be decreasing as you will move away from the central axis. So we define a point on the beam. So this point is the point where intensity is 1 by E times the intensity which is at the center. So we define this point, outer edge is defined as a point at which the strength of the beam has dropped to 1 by E of its value at the center. So this is how we define the outer edge, and this will make a cone. So you will find outer edge with respect to the intensity at the central point. So the point where the intensity is 1 by E of its value at the center, that will be the outer edge. So the outer edge of the beam will look like this. So there is no sharp edge over here. So we cannot define a sharp edge, that is where the intensity goes to 0. So it is not possible to define a sharp edge in a laser beam. So we define an outer edge of the beam. So this is defined as a point where strength goes to 1 by E of its value at the center. So that is the outer edge. Now this angle, delta theta angle, this divergence angle, is the angle which is made by the outer edge of the beam with the axis of the beam. So this is the outer edge of the beam which we have defined by this particular formula, that is where intensity goes to 1 by E of its value at the center. So this is the outer edge of the beam, this is the outer edge of the beam. Now the outer edge of the beam makes a certain angle with the central axis. So this angle is defined as divergence angle. Now twice of this angle, if you will double this angle delta theta, so twice of this delta theta angle will give us the full angle beam divergence, and directionality of the laser beam is expressed in terms of full angle beam divergence. So this delta theta, when you will double this angle, that is when you will measure this whole angle, which will be twice of delta theta, so that is called as full angle beam divergence. Now this delta theta angle arises due to the unavoidable effects of diffraction. So this delta theta is of the order of lambda by d. So this delta theta is approximately equal to lambda divided by d. So this formula, it comes from diffraction. So this formula we have already done in the case of a diffraction limited beam. So delta theta is equal to lambda divided by d. Now when a beam with planar wavefront radiates from an aperture of diameter d, so here we have a diameter d, here we have an aperture whose diameter is equal to small d. Now the beam, a planar wavefront beam, is radiated from this aperture of diameter d. The beam propagates as a parallel beam for a distance of about d square by lambda. So when a planar wavefront beam is radiated from an aperture of diameter d, it goes in the form of a parallel beam for a distance of about d square by lambda. And this quantity is called as Rayleigh range. So the beam goes in the form of a parallel beam for a distance of about d square by lambda, and this is called as Rayleigh range. And after that it starts spreading linearly due to the unavoidable effects of diffraction. So after that it starts spreading, and this is when this delta theta angle will arise. Now this delta theta angle is equal to lambda divided by d. So lambda is the wavelength of the light which is emitted from this laser, and d is the diameter of the aperture. So now we have seen that this divergence angle is equal to lambda divided by d. So now we are going to find out the expression using some geometry over here. So let's say r is the radius of the beam at a distance L from the source of the center. So this is the source of the center, and this point over here, it is at a distance of small l. And r is the radius of the beam at a distance L from the source of the laser. And if you will do twice of this radius, that will give you the beam diameter at distance L. So at distance L, the beam diameter will be given by dB. So as this length will increase, that is, as the laser light will propagate, the beam diameter will increase, or you can say the radius of the beam will increase. So from here, this is the delta theta angle. So from here you can find that tan of delta theta will be approximately equal to capital R divided by L. So this tangent of delta theta, this angle will be approximately capital R divided by the length. And this delta theta angle is very small for the case of laser. So the angular spread or the divergence angle, this is very small. So in that case, tan of delta theta, it can be put approximately equal to delta theta. So delta theta in that case will be equal to R divided by L. So from here R will be equal to L into delta theta. And what will be the beam diameter? So beam diameter is also called as the linear spread. This delta theta, this is called as the angular spread, and this dB is called as the linear spread. So this angular spread and the linear spread, they are interrelated. So this R, it is the radius of the beam. Now what will be the beam diameter? That will be equal to twice of capital R. So this whole length will be equal to dB. So this will be equal to twice of capital R, and this will be equal to twice of, what is the expression of capital R? That is L into delta theta. So that is L into delta theta. So this is how the angular spread and the linear spread of the beam are related to each other. So as you will increase this distance L, the beam spread, this linear spread of the beam will also increase. For a typical laser, the beam divergence, this full angle beam divergence has been calculated. So for the case of laser, this angle, it comes out to be less than 0.01 milliradians. So what is this beam divergence angle? It is twice of delta theta. So what is twice of delta theta? So twice of delta theta will be equal to dB divided by L, and this comes out to be less than 0.01 milliradians. So what do we mean by this expression, that dB divided by L? Now what is dB? It is the linear spread. It is this distance. Divided by L, it is the length of this point from the source. So for the case of laser, this ratio comes out to be less than 0.01 milliradians. Means for the case of laser, the linear spread, that is this dB, is less than 0.01 millimeter For the case of typical laser, this dB is 0.01 millimeter for traveling 1 meter of distance. So when the laser light travels about 1 meter distance, this linear spread is less than 0.01 millimeter. So this is the beam divergence for the case of a laser light. But for the case of a best searchlight, which is a conventional light source, so for the case of best searchlight, this linear spread of the beam is about 1 kilometers. So for the case of a laser, it is less than 0.01 millimeters for 1 meter of distance traveled in space. Whereas for the case of searchlight, the linear spread is about 1 kilometer for 1 kilometer distance traveled in space. So from here you can clearly see that divergence for the case of ordinary light sources is very large as compared to the typical laser. The next property of the laser is that it has high intensity. Since the divergence of the laser light is very less, so the energy is concentrated in a small region. Therefore, its intensity is very high. So because of very small divergence, the intensity of a laser beam is very high. That is, energy is concentrated in a small region. So if you have a conventional light source over here, for example, if you have a light bulb over here, the light will go in all the directions. Whereas in the case of laser, you can see the whole light is going in a single direction, means the energy is concentrated only in a small region of space. Now this laser light, it can be focused. So here the laser light is almost parallel. So over here this delta theta which I have shown, so for clarity purposes I have shown this delta theta a bit large, but this delta theta is a very small angle in the case of laser. So this light, these light rays which are shown that they diverge, so these light rays, they are almost parallel to each other. So this divergence is very small in the case of laser. So these light rays, they will appear to be almost parallel. And these light rays, they can be focused with the help of a lens. Now these light rays, these are not exactly parallel to each other. Due to this finite value of delta theta, the light rays from a laser, they are not exactly parallel, but you can say that they are almost parallel. So when you will make this laser light to fall on a convex lens, so these light rays, they will be focused on the focal plane of the lens. So if the light rays were completely parallel, if the light rays are completely parallel and they are made to fall on a convex lens, so these light rays, they will get converged at a single point on the focus of the convex lens. But if the light rays are almost parallel, like in the case of laser, the divergence is very small, but it cannot be neglected also. So this delta theta is very small, but it cannot be neglected, means these light rays, they are almost parallel, but they are not exactly parallel to each other. So when these light rays which are almost parallel, when they are made to focus, when they are made to fall on a convex lens, so they will not fall at a single point. So if these light rays are exactly parallel, they will fall at a single point, but if the light rays are not exactly parallel, there is a little divergence, then the light rays, they will fall on the focal plane of the lens and they will make a spot on the focal plane. So they will not fall at a single point, but they will make a spot on the focal plane of the convex lens. So we can focus the light ray of in the case of a laser, we can focus the laser light in a very small region. So it can be focused to a region of a radius. Now what is the radius of this region? This radius is approximately lambda into f divided by a. So the laser light which diverges due to the unavoidable effects of diffraction. So this laser light, when it is focused with the help of a convex lens, it will form a spot at the focal plane of the convex lens. And what is the radius of that spot? That is approximately equal to lambda into f divided by a. Now lambda is the wavelength of the light which is used, f is the focal length of the lens which is used, and a is the radius of the lens or the radius of the laser beam, whichever will be the small. So if the radius of the laser beam is small, then in this A will be the radius of the laser beam. But if the radius of the lens is smaller as compared to that of the laser beam, then this A in this formula, this will be the radius of the lens. So whichever value is smaller, that will be used in this formula in place of small a. Now for the case of a typical lens which will be used, for a typical lens, this A is equal to 0.05 meters and the focal length is 0.1 meters. And if we use wavelength in the visible region, so the light which is emitted by this laser light, so if we assume that it is equal to 5000 angstrom, so in that case the radius of the spot can be calculated. So you already know the wavelength, then focal length of the lens is also known, which is 0.1 meters, then the radius of the lens is also known, which is 0.05 meters. So using this you can find the radius of the spot, and when you will find the radius of the spot, then you can find its area. So area is nothing but equal to pi r square. R is the radius of the spot. So what is r? It is lambda into f divided by a. And also this formula, it comes from the article of diffraction limited beam, which we did in the previous semester. So there we did the concept of diffraction limited beam, and there we also gave the example of the diffraction limited beam, which is the laser light. So the laser light diverges due to the diffraction. So from there this radius of the spot can be calculated, and the area of the spot of the light will be pi r square. So when you will insert all these values which are given over here, so this area, it will come out to be equal to 3 into 10 power minus 12 meter square. So in this small area, you can see that how small is this value. So in this small value, in this small area, the laser light can be concentrated. It can be focused. So intensity of the laser light is very high. So you will calculate over here how the intensity of the laser light is high. So if you will take a 100-watt laser, so a 100-watt laser is taken. So the power consumed by this laser is 100 watt. Now what will be the intensity in the focal plane of the lens? So intensity is nothing but equal to power per unit area. So intensity is actually energy per unit area per unit time. The energy which is falling per unit area per unit time, that is the intensity. Now energy per unit time is nothing but equal to power. Now power is given as 100 watt. And the area in which it will be concentrated. So if you will take this type of lens to focus the laser light, if you will take the lens whose radius is equal to this value and focal length is equal to this value, then in that case the intensity of the laser light at this spot, at this particular spot where the light is concentrated, so intensity will be equal to 100 watt divided by this area, which is 3 into 10 power minus 12 meter square, and this will come out to be approximately 10 power 13 watt per meter square. So 10 power 13 watt per meter square will be the intensity of a laser light whose power is 100 watts. And due to this high intensity, you can clearly see how high is this intensity. So due to this high intensity of the laser, it can be used for welding and cutting purposes. Now if you will take 1 milliwatt laser, if you will take 1 milliwatt laser and you take 100 watt bulb, the normal bulb that we use at our homes. So if you take 1 milliwatt laser, 1 milliwatt means 10 power minus 3 watt. So it is 1 by 1000 of 1 watt. So the power of this laser is 1 milliwatt and power of this bulb is 100 watt, means it is 100 times of 1 watt. So here the power of the laser is 1 by 1000 of 1 watt, and over here the power of the bulb is 100 times that of 1 watt. So you can see that the power consumed by this bulb is 10 power 5 times. So power consumed by this bulb is 10 power 5 times that of this laser. And when you compare these two devices, if you compare the intensity of this laser and that of this bulb, you will see that intensity of this laser is 1000 times the intensity of this bulb. So you can see the power consumed by the laser is 1 by 10 power 5 that of the bulb. So power consumed by this laser is 1 by 10 power 5 that of the bulb, and the intensity of the light which is emitted by the laser, this same laser is about 1000 times that of the bulb. So you can clearly see that how the ordinary light sources, they have very low intensity as compared to that of a laser.